thanks for tuning in. I'm joined with Paperweight for another Moody Music interview. Hi guys, how are you?
Hi Jess.
Hey, doing good.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I just get you guys to say your name and what you do in Paperweight.
I can go first. Me. Hello.
Yeah.
I'm Luana or Lou, whatever you want to call me. I'm the guitarist.
And I am Harris, and I'm the vocalist.
Yeah.
And you guys, you've just released a brand new song. It's called Tracks. You released it earlier in December. Before we get into your new music, having a chat about what it's about and also how it was created, I just want to find out a little bit more about Paperweight. How did you guys become a band? What's your origin story? Because you were formed, was it in May 2020? So like during the start of the pandemic. So how did you all get together?
Yeah, man, we came from all over the place. So I was in an older band called Northside Story, which had just ended, and yeah, like I was, I had all these songs that I still really wanted to do something with, and so I started Paperweight, and Luana was the first person on board, and then she brought on Basil, who was like an old friend of hers, and she'd been in a band with him before, and then we found Tom kind of last minute. Like only I think it was like a month or something before we actually launched. And yeah, I mean, everyone kind of has their own stories of like how they sort of got to that place. Like for me, it was like sort of the ending of an old band and like having all these songs that they still wanted to do something with. But yeah, like everyone came from different bands and different backgrounds, and we were all very new to each other than Luana and Basil. None of us had really met each other particularly, like me, Luana, and Tom. We were all relatively new. And so, yeah, and it kind of just gelled when it all came together.
And I believe, is one of your band members in regional? Because I think was it Stateside, Stuck Out Stateside, you had the green screen recording for the music video and he had to like send his in. Is that hard having a band kind of separated?
Not really. He's super committed. He comes down every Thursday night for rehearsal, which is awesome. So he drives an hour and a half from Ballarat. So it's not super hard. It's only if we have to like go to a show or we want to go out together, then it's like a big, you have to organize how he's going to get here and whatever. But like commitment wise, he's great. He comes down every week, and we've actually got 9-day festival like around the corner from his house. So it's like perfect.
It'll be like his place you guys were all going to crash at.
Absolutely.
He can be the Airbnb.
That's right.
And what does the name Paperweight actually mean? How did you guys come across that name?
I think Paperweight was a name that I had thought of, like I'd been in that position quite a few times where it's like, what are we going to call the band? And I feel like it was a name that was floating around like for quite a while. And I just always thought it was cool. And then when this new band started, like I just sort of threw out a few of these like names because I already had like a list of names from all past bands when I was trying to come up with names for them, and I threw out a few names, and Paperweight was just the one that everyone kind of liked, and it kind of stuck. I wish I could tell you that there was like some real sentimental meaning behind it, but it was really just hey, that sounds kind of cool. So we went with that.
Did you just like keep trying Paperweight in all the previous bands to see who would say yes?
Yeah, maybe something like that. No.
I believe Nautical Mile tried that. Caleb from Nautical Mile, he kept trying to recycle it onto the new band.
Yeah.
Eventually it sticks.
Yeah, eventually someone says yes.
Yeah.
Then the others give in to peer pressure and it works. Exactly.
That's it.
So let's talk about this new track, which is called Tracks. And you guys, just even watching the music video, it was making me miss live shows. And like we're open for live shows at the moment, as we have been, I think, for the past like month. So I would just want to know, what is Tracks about as a song?
Tracks for me was a song that pretty much just represented like it's this thing that I feel a lot of people go through when they get older, and I feel like they start to, live in their stories a little bit, in the sense that, as you get older and, like real life kind of hits you in the face, and you're just not having as much fun as you did when you were a teenager. You're not quite as, lively, and like not as much of a risk taker. I feel like everyone just goes through this thing where it's like real life hits you, and then it's just like really depressing all of a sudden. And I think that when people get to that point, they start to live in their stories. They start to talk about like the good old days, and it's like, like you're still young, you're still in your 20s. Like if you have that mindset, then you're kind of setting yourself up to, it's almost like you're saying to yourself that, whatever comes next could never top what's happened before, maybe, because you're just not as young, or because you have all these responsibilities now. And I just felt like, that wasn't, it's just not a cool mindset to have, because, you've sort of thrown in the towel a little bit on what makes life amazing, which is, just being positive and having a good time, and not taking yourself too seriously and things like that. And I feel like if you get to that point where you're just living in your stories, then you're not really living. And so, yeah, that was a subject that, as someone, just sort of going through their 20s, it was just something that I, experienced a bit. I saw a lot of my friends experience it, and I just wanted to tackle that in a song. And yeah, that's how it all came about.
Yeah, absolutely. Just being in your 20s, it's like no one would have hit their midlife crisis by then. It's like there is so much life to have, and you can't be like living in your past. You need to keep moving, keep looking towards the future.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I wrote it with Stevie, the producer. So that was
His
a
work
lot
with
of fun
Stan
to record.
Atlantic, didn't he? Stevie
Yeah,
Knight and JP Weisner.
He's just like the Australian pop punk producer you want to work with. He's done Stat, Yours Truly. I think he did Biam's first record as well. Like, he's done Everyone Who's Everyone in Australia. So that was sick to work with him.
What was that recording and writing creation process like?
Well, for tracks particularly, Steve and I actually started working on that song before Paperweight even existed. It was actually the first time I ever met him. I was doing a writing session with him, and I had actually just come back from Europe. That I had been in Europe for like a month and a half, and I had it was like 14 flights or something crazy like that. And it was literally like the day after I got back, I had to fly up to Sydney to do this writing session with him. And I don't know why I thought that would be a good idea. I guess I was just like, I'm too young for, jet lag, but that wasn't true. And so, yeah, when I
was
got
written
there,
with jet lag.
yeah, when I got there, I was
Delirious
like,
as.
yeah, I was literally falling asleep. Like I pretty much had the chords. I gave him the chords, and he kind of, him just being the absolute genius that he is, just, just started doing his thing and adding all this stuff to it. And like, it sounded awesome, but I was like literally falling asleep, like trying to stay awake. And he was like, oh, write some lyrics. And I was just like, I just kind of came up with like the first thing that came to my head. And, some of those lyrics did end up actually staying in the song, but I actually ended up like cutting that session short because I was pretty much on the verge of passing out. So we left it at that, at that point in time. I mean, it was still a good session, and it was, great to, meet him and work with him for the first time. But, that was before Paperweight. That was actually when I was still part of my old band. And, and so it was actually quite a while until Steve and I, got together again, and we pretty much finished it off for, Paperweight. And yeah, it was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually remember when you showed me tracks the first time when you wrote it with Stevie, and it was a lot slower. And it was it was a slower tune, and we were just kind of like, I don't know if we're feeling this for the EP. But then when we went in to record it with Stevie, we changed it completely, and it had a completely new feel to it.
Yeah. I don't remember anything about that first writing session, or how it sounded, or anything that happened. Yeah.
Was all a blur. A good blur though.
Yeah.
Going back to, actually, no, let's talk about now, Harris, your vocals, it's very unique. if anyone who's listened to Paperweight before, you will notice that Harris's vocals are quite high, which gives Paperweight that bubblegum pop punk sort of vibe to it, very like cartoonish style. I just want to know a little bit about like your vocal background. Had you been singing from a young age, or like where does your style come from?
So no, I didn't sing as a kid. I played guitar. I didn't really sing at all in any of my high school bands or anything like that. It was sort of interesting actually when I got out of high school and I started my first band, Northside Story. Originally it was just me and my best friend Matt. He was a drummer and I was a guitarist, and we didn't really have any other band members, and we couldn't really find the right people either. And we had a very specific vision of like what we wanted, and so I kind of just sort of nominated myself. I'm like, well, why don't I'll just try and sing. Let's just see what happens. Like I'll do some demos. And at first it was absolutely horrible. Like I could not sing to save my life. I'd never really done it before. And I probably will never ever show it. I've still got those original demos, but I'm never going to show them to anyone because they're really that bad. But so it took me a while to find my voice. I think for me, it really was like, it felt like a journey to find like where, like what was going to work for me, because at the time I was very influenced by Sum 41 and that kind of like raspy punk voice. And so that's the voice I would try to kind of mimic. And it just didn't work very well. I just didn't have that kind of voice. And then all of a sudden I kind of went through like a newfound glory phase. And I actually remember the moment I was sitting in the car and I was actually driving to Matt's place. We were going to work on some music. And I was just like jamming out Newfound Glory's Sticks and Stones album. And then and I remember the moment so clearly. I just thought to myself, I'm just going to try and do that. Like, I'm going to try and impersonate that, because I've always been like rather okay at impersonations, just for fun and for like comedy reasons. But this time I was like, I'm just going to try to sound like Jordan from Newfound Glory. And I did it, and I sang the chorus to their song Understatement. And it was just like that lightning bolt moment. I was like, oh my God, I actually sound just like Jordan from Newfound Glory. And so it was kind of that moment. I was just like, that's my voice. Like that's, for me to sing and it sounds, halfway decent. Like that is basically the style. It's like a very kind of higher pitch, higher register, as opposed to the low raspy kind of thing. I just don't naturally have that kind of voice, but I do naturally have a higher pitch voice, and it just kind of clicked. And so I developed it, after that. I did more demos in that style. And, it was definitely a little rough at first, but I kept going with it, and, got it to a point where it was, acceptable, to go and actually do a proper recording with it. And that's kind of just how it came about. Like I never really intended to be a singer. It just sort of happened because we couldn't find anyone to be a singer. And we didn't really want to wait around until we found the right person. So I just took it upon myself, found that voice, and it's just been that way ever since. Yeah.
It's an awesome story with Newfound Glory. That's an awesome story to have. Learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Now, be real with me. Be honest. Is there like a ton of helium balloons backstage at your shows? Be honest.
No,
just
no.
like keeping in the,
I have been singing for a female a few times. I'm pretty sure by one of my family members as well. I'm pretty sure one of my aunties, like the first time I showed her my music, she was like, "Oh, who's the girl singing?" I was like, right, yeah, thanks. But
I've got that so many times. Like so many of my friends thought it was me singing in one of our songs, Paper Anchors. They're like, "Oh, I love the duet," because it starts off really like the Harris's low register and then kicks in, and they all thought it was me. I was like, no, I am not behind a microphone.
Yeah. I've never really like taken any kind of offense to it. I've always just thought it was kind of hilarious. And it is something like, I do feel like it just makes us stand out in a way that's like unique. And it is obviously a very pop punk-esque thing to do, the the classic whiny vocal sort of thing. But I think in the future, I definitely am gonna try to expand my range and play around with different styles and see how far I can take it. Because like I said, this is stuff that's really only the last few years where I kind of have self-taught myself how to sing. And I've been lucky enough to find this particular voice, but I still feel like there's a lot of potential to take it further and see where else I can go with it. So yeah, I'm excited to do that. I'm excited to do more Paperweight stuff.
What's with the bunny symbolism across all your music videos? I've noticed it's a common theme. Is there some sort of like cheeky reference to something? Like, what's with the bunny?
No, which I think we had it first in The Kids on the Ground. It's honestly, it's my brother's bunny suit. It belongs to my brother. And we brought it with us as a prop in The Kids on the Ground. And then we were like, what if we just have this like weird Easter egg where the bunny head's just in like every video clip? So since then I've just tried to incorporate it somewhere in all of them. I'm glad you noticed though.
Hey. It's like nearly a literal Easter egg. You guys must be a hit at Easter time. Yeah. Paperweight's on all the time. I want to go back to talking about your live shows and upcoming gigs. With the Tracks music video, it had a lot of different clips from previous shows, including your sold-out Stay Gold gig for the Whisper Games single launch with Snark and the Suburbs. How does it feel to look back on some of that footage?
First of all, I think, did you say Snark and the Suburbs? Because I think it was actually
No,
Loose
was
End.
it Snark?
I wish it was Snark. They couldn't do it, but we did ask.
It was Loose End, wasn't it? Yeah.
Loose End, yeah.
Yeah.
You were there, Jess.
I know. I think I've merged two gigs together.
I just want to give props to Loose End because they're an amazing band. They played really well. So I didn't want to just gloss over that one. Yeah.
How did your sold out gig with Loose End go?
Yeah, that was great. And it was unfortunately the only gig other than the Terror Show in January that we got to do this year. But of course we've got Night Day coming up, so that's pretty cool. But so far, that has been the highlight of the year. And so, when we started putting together this video, we were actually still in lockdown. And so, we ended up having to, go the whole, ISO clip. I think we kind of looked at it as like, it's going to be the last of the ISO clips. Like we're going to officially put an end to it right now. And so, yeah, we sort of did our thing with it. And yeah, we just had all this amazing footage that Sam Tan shot of that Stay Gold show. And so, we kind of gathered all that footage along with some other performance shots. And we obviously got all our friends involved and just kind of threw it together. And yeah, like it was cool. It was like a mix of emotions because, it was awesome to see, but it was also sad because this year has been such a roller coaster. We haven't been able to keep doing it, but it was bittersweet. It was nice though.
I love watching the videos from that night. It's crazy to think there were that many people there for us for our like first like real like headliner show. Was just insanity. And it was such a good night. I feel like everyone I knew was in that room. So it was so beautiful to see. And it's so like watching back on the footage, I can see like, the corner where all my work friends were standing and there's like, mum at the back. It was really nice. And to have people that like we've never met, like actual fans, that was cool.
Yeah. I remember there was this one guy.
Right.
I remember there was this one guy like at the front row who was just like singing every word to like every song, and none of us knew who he was. And I was like, the whole time I was up there, I was like, who is this person? And when we finished, he actually, like, before we had even walked off stage, he jumped up on stage, he gave me a hug, and he was just like, hey man, I just want you to know that like your music has helped me so much this year, and You really love you guys for that. And this is like our second ever show, you know, like we've been around for like a few months, and that, you know, it was just like such a big moment. And yeah, I didn't get his name. I wish I did, but you know, they kind of rushed us out of the venue after that. But yeah, you know, like it was pretty amazing to see, you know, to have that kind of reaction or to impact somebody like that when, you know, you've only been around for a few months as a band. But yeah, that was probably the highlight of that night for me.
Yeah.
And just on that, how did it feel to add a sold out gig to your resume, being such a young band? It's gonna feel good.
Awesome. It's so good. Like our first two shows, because we had like it was back when we were doing, you know, a day session and a night session. I feel like that's gonna be a thing of the past. We sold out two shows with Terror, but they were like 50 people each. And then to go to March and have 300, it was actually crazy. Actually crazy.
Sold out is still sold out, even with 50 people.
Oh,
Take it, yeah.
It's so crazy. I mean, for a band that's only done like Night and Day will be our third show ever. Like that's
And it's a festival.
like what? Like 7,000 people, yeah. It's gonna be crazy. And we've got some news coming for next year, but we're not allowed to say anything yet. But we've got a sneaky little tour.
Okay. I'm gonna question you about that tour in a second. But yeah, let's talk about Night and Day. So you guys, you will be playing alongside some huge names like Parkway Drive, Trophy Eyes, Jurassic Park just got added to that list. And how does it feel to be playing a festival on New Year's Eve and everyone's gonna be drunk at a castle? Isn't that just the best thing ever?
It's gonna be probably the best years of my life. I know.
It's insane. Yeah.
It's actually insanity. You know, like when we were asked to play, we were honestly like, we got an email. They're like, oh, hey, like Destroyer Alliance are putting on this festival in New Year's. Do you guys want to play? They didn't tell us who was playing. We didn't know anything. We didn't know where it was. They were just like, do you want to play this festival? We're just like, hell yeah, of course we do. And next minute they're like, oh, by the way, it's like Parkway Drive headlining, which like, what? It's freaking crazy. And then yeah, like all these acoustic stages that are being added with all of our friends, like, oh man, I'm so stoked. It's gonna be the best day ever.
It's gonna be just amazing. It's gonna be so good.
I'm so
for someone who's never been to a Paperweight show, what should people be expecting at Night and Day Festival for your set?
Fun. Just fun. You know, I think our songs just, you know, radiate, just, you know, don't take yourselves too seriously, have a good time, you know, and just be in that moment and enjoy that moment, you know. Yeah, I think that's what our music, that's just the general vibe of it, and that's how, you know, that's, you know, when we get up there, it's just so organic that we, you know, we're just having so much fun with it. And I think that kind of, you know, when it's real is when it radiates, you know. You know, we're not putting anything on. We're just like, hey, you know, we love what we do. We love doing this. And if you guys can see how much we love it, then, you know, we hope that you'll love it as much as we do. And so, yeah, just fun. That's it.
Like you said, when you watch a band like genuinely enjoying themselves, like I've been going to shows for 14 years, you can 100% tell, like when you're watching a band that loves what they do, you're smiling yourself, even if you don't know them. You know what I mean? So he's right, just fun and just happiness. It's gonna be wild.
I can confirm Paperweight shows are very fun shows as well.
Thanks, Jess.
Harris and Lou, do you have any final messages you want to say on behalf of the band about the new song Tracks, or anything you just want to get out to fans?
Yeah, just thank you so much for checking it out. And, you know, this year's been pretty slow for us. You know, like we had a really good start to the year, and then it just became a roller coaster with, you know, more lockdowns and all that kind of stuff. And it was really, really heartwarming to see that, you know, even though we had been inactive for a little while, when we did come back, you know, all those people were still there, still supporting us. we were worried that, maybe people kind of forgotten about us, and but the moment that we started, posting about it and getting ready for it, so many people just showed up in support. And, we're so excited to be kind of at the, hopefully, the end of this sort of uncertain time, because we have a lot of stuff planned in the first half of next year. And we're so excited to, just show everybody and to bring everyone, with us on this journey. And we're just super grateful, and we're going to keep doing it as long as people keep listening. And so just a big thank you. And yeah, definitely keep an eye out on all the Paperweight socials for the coming months, because there's some pretty crazy stuff happening next year.
Yeah.
Did you mention a mini tour and an EP next year?
Yeah,
what can you tell me about that? What have you got for me?
Can't say much about the tour. It's in support of someone, I'll tell you that much.
Okay.
That's all we can say. We do have a new song we're planning to release, I think in February, if all goes well. And an EP a little bit further.
Spoilers.
Sorry.
No, spoilers are good. Just don't get in trouble, but spoilers are good.
I'm trying to avoid all the Spider-Man spoilers, so I'm in that mode.
Oh, I love that. Okay, and you guys, I will definitely be leaving links to Paperweight socials in the description, as well as Moody Music socials as well. So do check those out. Thank you so much, Lou and Harris from Paperweight, for joining me today. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
No
Jess.
problem. Thank you so much. Thanks, Jess.
Not a problem. And I'll see you guys at day night.
Yeah,
See you
sick.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.